My favorite quote is from the comedian George Carlin. If you believe, it's like, what did he say? It's called the American Dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. And, is there anything wrong with being happy and scattered throughout your entire life as long as you're, being well fed and you have a house over your head and you're clothed? Maybe it's okay to be completely scattered.
What is your goal?
My goal is to have fun and be authentic.
All right. And do it plastic free.
Yeah, be plastic free. It's like if I can accomplish those two things every day, I feel like I won the day and I can go to bed and sleep well at night. But if I am not one of those two things, then I will sit there and ruminate on like what I could have done better, how I could have shown up better, how I could have been more authentic, how I could have been more creative, laughed. We're buying too much stuff. But I want to say there was 47 billion pairs of shoes on Earth.
So your brands have made a tangible impact, not just in the beauty industry, but in advocating for a plastic-free world.
And a lot of it starts with just needing less.
I was the weird kid.
You still are.
So we welcome to Artful Impact, Joshua Scott Onysko, my dear friend for many years now to this day. Thank you so much for coming all the way from the East Coast here to Los Angeles to record this podcast with us. So about Joshua. Joshua is an accomplished plant-based chef, self-taught perfumer, skincare expert, public speaker, visual artist, and innovator. As entrepreneur, Joshua has proven his mantra many times over that the fringe predicts the future. Each brand he creates stewards the fringe by leading with cutting-edge formulations that honor purity, people, and planet. Knows that fair, forward-thinking business practices will positively shape the lives of his stakeholders, from employees to farmers. And those practices require a vision that stretches beyond the comfort of the mainstream. So, I have a few questions for you. And you've creatively blended being a chef, musician, and a designer into your brand. For artists who are also multidisciplinary, how do you recommend channeling creativity from different fields into building a cohesive brand that reflects their values?
I would say the biggest challenge for every artist I've ever met is actually focus.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure most of this room is probably artists and probably has a hard time focusing on one thing. And if I could, as they say, turn back time, I would have tried different modalities of focus earlier on in life. I still have not mastered it. I usually have 19 different projects going on at once.
ADHD, everyone.
Yeah. There's not enough Adderall in the world to focus most artists. But, when I look back, if it depends on what your goal is, right? If your goal is the quintessential concept of success, you were talking about the American dream earlier. My favorite quote is from the comedian George Carlin. If you believe, it's like, what did he say? It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. And, is there anything wrong with being happy and scattered throughout your entire life as long as you're, being well fed and you have a house over your head and you're clothed? Maybe it's okay to be completely scattered.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that you're scattered, and especially I feel like the glue to all of your different creative endeavors and your talents is actually your purpose.
Yes. Like, again, it comes down to what is your inevitable goal and what is your ideal of the term successful and what is it that you're trying to accomplish in this very short, finite life.
Right.
Yeah.
What is your goal?
My goal is to have fun and be authentic.
All right. And do it plastic free.
Yeah. Be plastic free. It's like if I can accomplish those two things every day, I feel like I won the day and I can go to bed and sleep well at night. But if I am not one of those two things, then I will sit there and ruminate on like what I could have done better, how I could have shown up better, how I could have been more authentic, how I could have been more creative, laughed, not taken something so seriously, not judge somebody, relaxed. 70% of our thoughts are repetitive. And if you took a little moleskin and wrote down every single thought you had all day, you'd be surprised to find out throughout your entire life, 70% of your thoughts are repetitive, and half of them come from regret and half from remorse. And regret
sounds like torture.
But this is life, right? Like regret is when you did something you wish you hadn't. Remorse is when you didn't do something you wish you had. And the goal of meditation is to quiet the mind. And really that means, how do I live my life with having as little regret and remorse as possible so I can have new, fresh thought, so I can lead more with my heart. And if you think about that before every decision you make, you can start to eliminate repetitive thought throughout your life.
Wow. That's deep. Thank you so much for sharing that inner world of yours.
Still working on it.
Well, don't we all? Well, and as I'm coming back to your purpose and the impact that you make in the world, which for me, I think that's what really connects us as friends, is the possible future for this planet and seeing the things that can be done differently. And so, as a vegan and someone committed to cruelty-free, plastic-free products, how do you infuse your personal ethics into your creative process? And how can artists and creators align their work with sustainable, impact-driven goals without compromising their vision?
The other reason why I'm in LA is I just gave a talk to Fortune 500 CPG companies up in Westlake Village. And it was all about, how do you envision a plastic-free future? Because my brands are tiny. If I can convince one of the Fortune 500 companies that came to this talk to even change 1% of their company, the impact is monumental. And my talk was all based around, for the past 100 years, large corporations have operated in this way as, what is the least amount we can do to get the most amount of impact? And we've now reached a place on Earth where that is not what's going to solve the problem. Greenwashing does not solve the problem. Blue washing does not solve the problem. We actually need solutions, and not from the idea of a marketing perspective. One of the things I love about Gen Z, and if you've been to any marketing conference around Gen Z, is if your product says we have 20% post-consumer plastic, Gen Z doesn't care. They give you the same amount of credit if you have 20% post-consumer plastic as 99% post-consumer plastic. They only care if you win 100%.
Wow.
And I think that, to me, is like a glimmer of hope, because we've reached a point in the evolution of the Western world where people are tired of the bullshit. We want real solutions. We want real answers. And to do that, you need to be authentic in the way you do everything in life so that it bleeds over into the things that you're creating.
The consumers actually have a voice, right? What do you think actually we can do to help companies like yours, right, that are plastic free and sustainable, and to help move them forward versus the ones that are not? What can we do as consumers?
I think when you look at the ecosystem of consumerism, we actually have to cut what we're consuming by 80% and focus that 20% on more sustainable products. And I give the example of toilet paper. Something almost everyone is using toilet paper. If you spent 1 hour online instead of scrolling, just looking to find what the most sustainable toilet paper you can buy is.
You tell us which one?
I switched over to the company Who Gives a Crap, because I think
that one.
they do an amazing job and it looks cool, and it's even their shipping is plastic free. And if you go through your life, what do I need? What do I use every day? The paper towels, the toothpaste, the soap, the detergents, the shampoos, the conditioner, the things that we're actually using every day. Start there. Find the most sustainable, plastic-free, authentic brands and support them. Then, if you are in abundance and you have money that you're sitting on, go find things you don't need that are more sustainable and support those companies. But we're buying too much stuff. It was I can't remember the exact number, but I want to say there was 47 billion pairs of shoes on Earth. And as I've been in LA for the past 6 days, I have seen several people without shoes.
Oh, really?
In the homeless community. And I'm like, there's an imbalance.
Yes.
We consume too much stuff. We buy too much stuff. We constantly think buying things is going to make us happy.
Right. So once again, how do we move from consumerism to environmentalism?
Yeah, just focus on what you need. Buy the most sustainable option.
How can impact artists apply the same principles of innovation, and sustainability to ensure their art creates real world change?
Well, I think I'm sitting in front of somebody who does that every day. Example A. I don't know that much about the intricacies of the art world, but as you were saying earlier in the night, art has been impacting culture for thousands of years. And I'm fortunate enough to live in New York, and every week I'm going to see some amazing art exhibit and someone just pushing the boundaries of how we think about the world. And in April, I was in Kyoto, and Kyotography, the largest public photography festival. I think it's called a festival. Anyway, they take over the city for a month. And you buy these passports to go into all the temples and the museums and the homes that were taken over. And the first exhibit I saw, I still think about it every day. This artist from Kentucky, photographer, he traveled around the world and took pictures of kids' bedrooms. And so it was like this picture of their bedroom, and then it was like a profile picture, and they were huge. They were like, 10 feet tall. And then there was like an explanation of that child's life. And it was everything from this kid in Tampa, Florida, who lived in an upper middle class family, and he was obsessed with Spider-Man. So his parents had bought him every single thing that ever had Spider-Man on it. So his room probably had $100,000 worth of toys. And then all the way to this kid living in Rio de Janeiro in an alleyway on a torn up couch. And his family had abandoned him when he was 5. And he made his money by robbing and selling drugs. And it was like everything in between. And I was just walking around this exhibit like bawling. Because you in 20 minutes, you got to see children's lives all over the world and how dramatically different people's experience of life is. And it really was just humbling.
Wow. Honestly, that's so powerful. And it reminds us how privileged we all are, especially the ones sitting here in this room. And, sharing from my personal experience, as I shared before, I did 5 immigrations in my life. And one time in my life, my room was a bunker. When bombs were falling and there were sirens outside, everyone ran into my room. And I was kind of happy about it because everyone was coming to my room and I had all the snacks and water.
That adds up.
I love how kids can always find the beauty, in like the little things, and like find the excitement even in the scariest, most terrifying moments. And once again, I feel like what you just mentioned about the artists, it brings back the inequality, right? And like, how can we, share the shoes and share what we have and uplift one another and be there for one another, other people and the planet, right? And wildlife that don't have a voice.
And a lot of it starts with just needing less.
What would you suggest we look for in a product as like a certification, if you believe?
Honestly, like the certifications, unfortunately, are mostly BS. You got to look at the inky, and you want to see how many of the ingredients are organic and which ingredients are organic. If a company wants to be organic, 95% of the ingredients should be listed as certified organic. And not paying attention to the USDA label, because there are so many cheats for companies around those labels in cosmetics and skincare. And it's really important to just literally dig into brands. Find out who the owners are, who's producing the product, where they're producing, what the packaging is made out of. Find out what their ethos is. Because in my industry, it's like, it's all smoking mirrors. Because again, I call it a race to the bottom. People are trying to figure out how to sell the latest fad on something to get people to buy it, to think it's going to make them look young forever, and like how they can get away with the least amount of effort for the most amount of profit.
And what practices help you stay energized and purposeful? And how do you suggest artists sustain their life force while working on projects that demand both creativity and a focus on making a difference?
Besides sleep and caffeine?
I guess that's your fuel, and cookies.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is just health and nutrition, and really understanding what nutrition is, and getting back into cooking your own food again, because the food in restaurants is dead. Like, prepared food is dead. We need actual nutrition. We need knowledge of nutrition and the ability to prepare it, because our bodies run on nutrition. We need organic, nutrient-dense foods that are healthy for us.
What ignites that passion? What like gives you that, like, like moving forward?
It's the little things, like Cameron was talking about earlier. It's the little things, like at this Fortune 500 conference, the lead designer of 3M told me he's been following my career since 2006 when we invented plantable packaging. And I was like, oh my God, the designer from one of the largest corporations on earth is following like what we're doing at my little skincare company. And he knew everything. Like, he knew all the materials I designed, all the products, the partnerships that we've had. And that just lit me up. I'm like, oh yeah, we're making a difference.
What was the biggest challenge in your career as an impact entrepreneur that you overcame? And was there like close to giving up or changing direction, like selling a product and getting $250 million and walking away? Was there something like this that happened to you, and how you overcame it?
I would say that, yeah, there's those challenges of when you have investors getting pushed to do things a way that you are not moralistically aligned with. And at the end of the day, I've always drawn a pretty hard line in the sand. I'm like, it's either this way or I leave. And it's how I feel. Because again, I want to wake up in the morning and know that what I'm doing is aligned with my personal mission. And if it's not, I don't want to be a part of it.
So for artists listening who want to create impact-driven businesses or brands, what advice would you offer to stay true to their purpose while scaling their vision?
One of the things I've been talking about for the past 2 years is right now is the absolute best time to start a business. It has never been in the history of humanity. Right now is the best time.
Why?
Because of AI and a down economy. People always think, oh, I don't want to start a brand in a down economy. It's actually the reverse. The best time to start a brand is when the economy's down, because by the time you get the flywheel going and the economy's up, you'll already be in the market. You'll already be selling whatever it is you created. Now is the time to dig in and let those creative juices flow, form your idea, get it out to market, and using AI to dramatically, and when I say dramatically reduce your startup costs to almost nothing, because you can use it to amplify your own creativity. Don't use it to be creative. Use it to amplify the creativity within inside of you.
Whoa. At times as artists, we can think like, oh, maybe it's my art, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. But no, just keep on working, keep on creating. And when the economy is up, things are going to be beautiful. And it's better that you have a beautiful message behind it, because more people will resonate with it.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for everything that you do and for your beautiful products.
My pleasure.
Is there anything else you would like to share with people, where they can find your products, and if there's anything that's coming up?
Mostly we focus online. I love our websites. We also partner with Thrive and Grove Collective, another amazing company to go out and find many, many sustainable products.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Artful